Wow, hello humans. It is good to be back on YouTube making videos. It's been a little while. Um, this is an important topic today that is very dear to me and feels very close to my personal story and a part of my personal growth. And I'm actually very thankful for the experience that I've had around this topic because it's giving me deep insight into issues that I feel that our collective is going to experience as Pluto shifts into Aquarius and Saturn is moving into Pisces over the next couple of weeks, which is kicking off a 2.5 year cycle, but also a bigger 20-year cycle. And I'm not really going to use a lot of astrology language here in this video. So if like you're new to astrology or you decide to pop on and I'm already talking about astrology and you're like, well, I don't know what she's talking about. This is actually like a very humanistic type of point of view. And, so you don't have to know the astrology language, but of course I see everything happening in our world and around us in our inner worlds and the collective, society. I relate everything to astrology. And I do believe that this is actually a very important topic that will be brought to light. Um, there's little nuances within this, but bullying and harassment is a very serious issue that needs to be addressed and will be addressed as we have these planetary shifts. Just as a general overview, the Pluto and Aquarius shift is going to create a lot of disempowerment and then re-empowerment when it comes to humanitarian topics, okay? And what is fair? What does it mean to be equal? What are the rights for human beings? And how are the power dynamics that are happening in our society, in our world, and in our personal lives, how are they showing up? Okay, so this will transform who is in political office, who is in leadership roles. This very much has to do with leadership. And this is a very important topic to me. Actually, a lot of this video is going to be around what it means to become a leader and what it does not. And being discerning around who is going to lead the way into the world that we are shifting into. And there are a lot of beautiful people that I have been meeting in my life who have been doing immense spiritual work and inner growth that I believe have true leadership qualities. And when I sit with these people in my readings, I am constantly learning more on what it means to be a beautiful human and learn about self-love, self-respect, healthy boundaries, self-validation, standing in your purpose, being a creative individual, being accepting of yourself to like the deepest level and degree. And I'm loving it. I'm loving the people and the communities that I'm connecting with and the clients that I'm beginning to meet. And I'm very thankful for it because it gives me hope when I encounter certain experiences like being harassed and bullies, which I still, it is still an issue, right? It's still an issue. And, we do have, regardless of your beliefs, if you just sit and reflect and take a look around, we do have people in leadership roles who are bullies and who harass people on immense levels, and they get away with it. And I'm going to dive into why they get away with it. I'm going to dive into maybe why they're doing it and how we can deal with it and we can handle it. I'm not going to go down my own backstory because I just don't feel like that's necessary. People in my personal life know what's been going on, and in my immediate community know what's been going on. But just to give you like a baseline, I have been being harassed by a female since 2018, really pretty consistently. And this was somebody that was a childhood friend at one point. And so somebody who was very close to me. And it's important to know who is close, if you can trust the people that are closest to you, because if they have these qualities, then they can try to use things against you and manipulate in a way that tries to hurt you. Um, Before, when I had met this person, when I was 15 years old, I, of course, am not the person I am now. I'm going to be 33 soon. I've been in spirituality work and astrology for quite a while. I've done a lot of self-growth and healing, and had, like my clients and like many humans, have transcended my soul and transformed who I was, to be super aware of the boundaries that I had in my life. And I was always somebody that believed the best in people and was too trusting. Libra rising. This is a part of a Libra rising or a Venus journey, heavy 7th house transits, heavy 1st house transits or placements, things like that. Again, I'm not going to get too much into astrology. If you if you feel like you deal with harassment and bullying and that your boundaries are crossed, whether that's in the workplace, in your family, in your relationships of any sort, then please reach out to me, send me an email, and maybe I can work with you with your chart and we can dive into a healthy boundary setting for you and why those circumstances came into your life. Okay. I realized that I wasn't discerning enough as a young woman to know who to trust. But I'm not a victim of it. And I'm not a victim of it now. I know how to deal with this. It's just that it came to the point where I realized, I was like, how do I deal with this situation in the best way? And the most beautiful thing that came to me was, Makayla, this is a issue that happens all over the world and it's happening globally on a bigger scale, and you can teach about it. And because I know where my heart is at and has always been, I can basically come at this with compassion and empathy for humans who are experiencing this and going through this, and hopefully have a conversation with you here and have give insight and hopefully give some relief as well to these very important topic. So the other part of this is that when Saturn moves into Pisces, um, Pisces archetype in the 12th house can often resemble 12th house, especially hidden enemies in our life, people who are against us, not for our journey, for whatever given reason, and that's okay. But usually when you're being attacked by an enemy, okay, and I use that in quotes because, we're all humans, we're cohabitating on this planet and we need to learn how to get along. um, but a 12th house transit will bring up issues around that. And I find that the more successful people become, or the more self-empowered they become, the more that they trigger other people who haven't made it there yet in their journey. And that's okay, because people who have developed that strength around themselves and their inner being and that self-love, you can handle it. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's okay. It doesn't mean that you deserve it, because you don't, but it just means that you are now resilient enough to be able to handle that kind of attack, if you will. And that the universe is just pushing you towards more empathy and more love for other people and more compassion towards other people who haven't done the work yet, haven't done the inner work. And it's okay. Everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's in their own place and their own evolution. This is why I love evolutionary astrology, because there are 4 stages of the evolutionary journey, and I can make a separate YouTube video about that. You can also go to the Jeffrey Wolfgrain School of Astrology website, and there's a very good article about the 4 stages of evolution of humans. And there's 3 stages within that as well. I can directly see that when I'm working with a client. I can see where they're at when I meet with my friends or other people out in the world. It's very real. And when you read this article, you'll be like, oh wow, like it'll make sense to you. And it also gives you another way, another tool to accept other people where they are at in their journey, and not just get angry about it, right? There's no reason to get angry about it. And that's another development around combating bullying and harassment, is that your own self-acceptance and self-love is the only thing that matters. And it gives you an ultimate power tool and strength, if you will, to navigate through the world. Okay. So when Saturn moves into Pisces in a couple of weeks, I think it is like around March 7th or so. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's around March 7th, 2023. You know, Saturn represents responsibility in a way, and boundaries. And it's going to be entering a sign that can bring up disillusionment. Okay. Pisces is so beautiful, but in the positive perspective, but on the negative perspective, because every sign has a positive and a negative, the negative sign is disillusionment. And it is looking at people through rose-colored glasses and seeing something that's not really true, because you're kind of in this like fog. Okay. And Pisces can bring out a fog, if you will. And so I believe that when Saturn moves into Pisces and Pluto moves into Aquarius, a lot of the issues around the leaders in our world, and then the people in our life around responsibility and who they truly are, is going to be unveiled. Okay. It's going to be literally, the fog is going to clear up, because Saturn is here to bring the responsibility to those who have been abusing their power, and Pluto is going to destroy it. And I'm really excited about it. I think that we're going to have a new wave of leaders into the world who have been doing the work. And if you're catching up, if you feel like you're, you have leadership qualities and you're leadership worthy and you've been doing the work, let's have a conversation again. Let's have a conversation about where you're at. If you feel like you want to step into some power, I think it's really important to check in with yourself, to be really reflective on yourself and ask yourself if you feel like you're guiding in the right direction. And if you have, if you're coming from a place that is of a high vibration. Okay. And this is why I'm making this video, because bullying and harassment doesn't come from a high vibration. Okay. It comes from people who have deep pain in their life, and they've experienced deep pain, and it often stems from childhood, where their needs weren't met by a parent, both parents, family members. Maybe they had a traumatic experience. And it's important for us to have compassion with these people, but it doesn't give them the right to grow up and be adults and continue to project that pain and use it as a sword to cut through life. And it doesn't give them a right either to continue to hurt other people and not accept responsibilities for their actions. Okay. Now, it's not saying that all bullies need to suffer until the end of time and blah, 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 right? I'm actually just saying that bullies, one of their main tactics and goals is also related to narcissism, which is a hot topic right now. We're seeing a lot of narcissistic abuse and people talking about it coming up online on Instagram and social media and stuff. And I'm glad that people are recognizing this, because narcissists use what it's called flying monkeys. The same thing happens with people who are bullies and also use harassment. They find people who are easily manipulated, and they tell them stories, and they use their own tactics to basically become a ringleader with a group of people who are going to follow them. Okay. And so we can see people in political offices who have literally become ringleaders of groups of people who are covered by this rose-colored glass and will listen to what this person is portraying, projecting, right? And it often looks like anger. It looks like attacks. it looks like finger pointing, it looks like victimization, it looks like pain infused day-to-day reality. You know, it looks like just negative emotions overall, because real leaders, real true leaders can express themselves from a place of empathy and compassion of their own story and own it with responsibility. Okay. And this is a time where a lot of people's traumas are going to get triggered. And we all have trauma. Okay. We all have it. And it's not about comparing traumas. It's just literally validating that every human has trauma. And it's time to just accept responsibility for the story that you've been saying and rewrite it. And this is a big part of what psychology does, and psychologists do when they work with patients who have experienced trauma. A lot of them will go back to those experiences and then reintegrate it into the personality, but you can change the storyline where you're not a victim anymore, where you are not disempowered by that story anymore, but yet you're a survivor, you're a warrior, you're strong, you're compassionate, and you go down to the deepest levels of that hurt. Okay. You go past that level of anger. I wrote actually an article about a year and a half ago on Medium, and I'll probably link this down below because I often go back to this article, and I wrote it when I was in a deep place of anger at one point. But again, I was accepting responsibility for the anger that I was feeling. And instead of projecting and going out and being angry at people in the world and life, I was like, what is beyond this, and how can I untangle this feeling? Because I want to be in a high vibration. I want to lead other people, and I want to learn from this experience so deeply so that I can help my clients when they come to me with similar issues, you know? And what I realized is that life is a fucking rainbow, right? Life is all of the colors of the rainbow, right? But there's red in there. The red is anger. And what is behind the red, right? Because you can't get through the other colors unless you get past that red first. Well, pain. Pain is there. All anger stems from pain. Depression stems from pain, right? The times when we are at our most hurt stems from some type of pain, whether that is like a physical pain from an accident. My grandfather is a double amputee. He lost both of his legs when he was 30 years old, and he was very angry for a while because not only was he emotionally hurt by his accident, but physically hurt, and he was angry about it. But that was pain, right? Pain. He was feeling, I can't provide for my children, my family. You know, what do I do now? Like, I mean, these are traumatic events to people. He wasn't a bad person, but he was angry, and he was projecting anger for a long time, right? So it's the same thing with bullies. It's the same thing with people who are harassing others. But the thing is we need to take them down from power. We need to take them down from power because those aren't the leaders that we need. Okay. It doesn't mean that they aren't allowed to be in leadership role down the line. And I was doing some research, and I was watching a TED Talk from somebody actually about this. And I had a disagreement, honestly, with this woman speaking on this TED Talk, because she was given a leadership role when she was directly in the middle of a bullying experience. And I understand the psychology of what the school was trying to do. Okay. But it's almost like rewarding, right, the person for their actions. And I think that the first step is to remove people who are doing those type of behaviors from remove them from leadership roles, or B, stop feeding into their storylines, Okay, I'm going to get into this too, because I'm not here to isolate these people. I'm not here to shove them in a dark closet or put them in the basement and be like, work on yourself and then you can come to the light when you're done. Like, it's not like that. Okay, I'm going to go deeper with this. But in order to step into that type of role, or in order to guide other people, right? Or allow, the other thing is, in order for you as a human being to allow somebody to change your perspective or communicate with you or give you something that might alter your belief about anything, right? We need to ask ourselves, how has that person shown up in their life, and how have they taken responsibility for all of the actions that they have done in their life? Are they taking responsibility, or are they continuing to play the victim mentality role and project and project and project? And you can see it. You can see it with people when you interact with them on a personal level in your personal life. And you can also see our fucking leaders doing it in the same way. So my first advice would be to step away from that energy. Stop voting for the person. Stop listening to the person. Stop responding to the person, right? Don't, because everything in our world is energy, right? You cut off the energy supply, just like you would do with narcissistic abuse. You cut off what they feed, okay? And you don't give it anymore. And it will get worse first. Usually, I'm not going to say every time, but usually that person will then get triggered even more, because now they have just been disempowered. They're not stable anymore on the people and the things that they can manipulate. And now they don't know what to do. All right. Because the next thing that they're going to have is a tower moment, right? I wish I had my tarot cards with me to bring out the tarot card, but it's exactly like the tower moment in the fucking tarot deck. Okay. They're going to have a tower moment, but anybody who has enough self-respect and self-love and is spiritual and has done this work understands that we've all been through tower moments, and it's necessary and a part of growth in this world and in our lives to become higher vibrational, lighter human beings. And it's just a part of evolution, right? It's just a part of being a human, is to learn what not love is so that you can learn what love is. Okay. It doesn't mean that we are shunning these people or shaming these people. We have to come at them with compassion and empathy, but we also have to have that same compassion and empathy for ourselves. And that means cutting off that supply and to stop feeding that source. And that comes with the level of knowledge of what detachment means. Okay. Emotional detachment. Okay. And that's really hard for the victims of bullying and harassment, okay? Because you can feel slighted in some way, okay? But I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because really the reality is it's what you have allowed into your life, okay? So frankly, the fight, it isn't to fight back, it isn't to push back, it's nothing like that. It's actually so much peace and surrender to just do nothing, to not respond, and to evaluate your own boundaries within this relationship that you're experiencing with the bullier and the harasser, and to disengage with this person. And that gives you some sense of empowerment. And you are also deeply, deeply actually at the same time helping this person learn in their own life journey too. Okay. It's not just about you. When you begin to do that, you actually help this other person, and you don't even need to do a thing except self-love and self-respect. Okay. It's really very simple. And I believe that, one of the hardest things to do is to not react, but that's what that person is doing, right? And we don't want to match that level of negativity. Okay. Trauma responses are reaction. Okay. And these people need to understand that they need to go within. All right. There's a need to go within instead of outwards now, and understand why they're being triggered so much to harass somebody else. Okay. And it usually comes from jealousy, it comes from resentment, it comes from victimization, like I didn't have enough, or I don't have enough, or not taking responsibility over your life. It's downright just a level of pain, I believe, at this point. Hold on, I just want to go to my notes because I was brainstorming a lot around this, and I really want to just say what I really feel in my heart around this. Okay. Yes. Okay, there we go. So the other part of this too is that when we challenge by disengaging bulliers, is that a word? Bulliers and people who harass and use manipulation to move people in a way. When we choose to disengage, it resembles the archetype of the 11th house of Uranus and Aquarius, okay, which is again a theme we're moving into, which is a severing type of energy that needs to happen. And there's an isolation part, okay, where you are severed from what has been your pillar of strength, quote unquote. We're going to use the strength here for the bullies and harassers, right? They're severed now. You're severed too, which allows you to accelerate and evolve, which is Uranian qualities and Aquarius qualities, and 11th house qualities. You get to accelerate and evolve, and you get to now align with people like I have, who will give you love and compassion and support and not shame you and not project onto you, and realize that, you know, the important thing is to realize that we're all living our own life and we don't compare to others, right? We just stay in our lane and we take up our own little space, and we support other people on their journey, taking up their space. And we remain heart-centered. Like, oh my God, it's so much easier to live in the heart than it is to live in like negative, yucky feelings, right? So we stay there, but we also isolate the person who needs it. It's necessary. It's necessary for self-growth, okay? Because they need to be cut off from the supply so that they can't feed themselves. And I'm talking about energy here. I'm not talking about resources. So nobody cut this video up and make me say something I didn't say. Energetically cut off from the source that is feeding those tendencies, the narcissistic tendencies, the bullying tendencies. They need the proper isolation so that they cannot energetically feed off that anymore. And the only way to survive after that is to feed the self through self-love. And we hope that that's when the awakening happens, okay? That's called rock bottom in normal terms, which my best friend has coined and I use time and time again. Rock bottom has a basement. But that's when you go through a Pluto transit, right? Which we all do, and we're all about to experience in a new way, which is a part of the Pluto and Aquarius theme. That's when you go through an 8th house transit. That's when you do the most inner work, right? That's when you transmute your soul from the inside out and you become a better human being. And you get, when you're isolated, the only fucking other person you're in there with is you. That's it. Do you like who you're with? You know, they have to ask themselves that. Do I like who I'm with? Do I like who I'm spending time with? I'm alone. And I've now cut off all of the support around me. And that's, I feel like, when we can really start to heal and transform people who are bullying and yeah, causing that kind of abuse. You know, one thing is, I do want to say at the end of this, now that I'm just wrapping up this video, and I've just been thinking a lot, I don't know exactly how to deal with this with children, okay? But I do believe that this is good advice to deal with as adults, and we don't lose our inner child when we're an adult, because the school system is a lot different, right? And bullying gets a lot harder. And then the kids who are bullying in school are often having very traumatic experiences in their home life, and that's why they're going to school and becoming the bully. So for when it comes to younger children, I think the best thing we can do right now is to start working collectively on all the adults, because all of the adults right now are leading our children, and we're working with our children who are going to become the leaders, and they're going to become parents. And this is what you call ancestral trauma, and it's about lessening the ancestral trauma that we are carrying down in our family lines. Okay. So if we want to, I believe if we want to work with children, we want to help the younger kids, we start up here with the adults, we start with the parents, we start with our education systems, we start with our political leaders, we start with the people in power, we start with any fucking leader, literally. And we start to lead by example, and we take the people down in our lives, in our immediate life, in our immediate world, and we start to, you know, work with them on their like life lessons, and we start to raise the people up who are actually ready and informed for this type of work. Okay. So I hope that this video helped in some way. I hope that I gave some perspective and some insights. Please, if you resonated with this video, please give me a like. Please subscribe to my channel if you resonated, or if you like my work. If you want more videos like this, let me know as well. And just leave me your info in the comments. Like, leave me your perspective or your experiences, and what you thought about the conversation that I brought here today. You know, it's coming from my own personal observations, and then also what I'm using through astrology and seeing out in the world. And I just really want to be a part of the higher vibration and the shift that we are going into and experiencing. Tomorrow is a new moon in Pisces, so ultimate manifestation day. It's very juicy one. And with that, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to listen to me. And I appreciate everyone. And I'm sending you a lot of love and peace. Okay. Take care.